Welcome to Douglas channel. Let's make things crappier. I got a new glove here. Anytime I touch some of this new glove, it automatically becomes crappier. I got a cat over here. Let's see what happens when I touch the cat. Whoa! We got a plant here. Let's give it a go. Whoa! Let's give something else a try. My own shirt. Whoa! Let's find a good game. Star Fox 64. Let's give it the glove. Whoa! Panzer Dragoon. Panzer Dragoon Remake was released on the Switch this past week, and never have I missed Star Fox so much. I never got to play Panzer Dragoon on the Sega Saturn growing up, but I always wanted to because Star Fox was one of my favorites. It literally looked like it would be the same game, except with dragons. And how could that not be awesome? So when they released a remake on the Switch, I was pretty excited and dropped a $25 entrance fee on day one. Upon gearing it up, the story looked pretty cool. Futuristic society with all the ancient relics a contradictory sci-fi fan could ever hope for. You get introduced to the dragon you're going to be riding on, and the game is set up pretty wonderfully. But then you start the game itself, and it feels incredibly clunky from the get-go. It has the same control setup as Star Fox 64, being an on-rail shooter and all, but the tightness is just not there. When you move your dragon, it automatically moves to aim, which I'm fine with. But it was so quick, and I found it very hard to actually focus on the enemies because they expect you to be very precise. I could do the charge shot, which helped with the locking on, but to do the normal shots, man, it was really screwing me up. Now I did notice before I started the game that there were options to change the control setup, but once I was in the game, these options were all gone. Why? It would have been so easy to make this an in-game option to just simply change the controller setup as you went. But to force the player to quit the entire game to change the controller setup? That's just ridiculous. So, as I was playing, I decided to stick with the traditional controls. I'll learn. But after flopping around the whole first level for about 5 minutes and just constantly not killing enemies, I decided I can't take it anymore, and I head back to the main menu, losing all my progress just to change the controller scheme. Now, there's an option here for modern controls to separate the aiming from the steering. That seems pretty cool. I load the game back up, go through the first level. Nope, still sucks. Possibly even worse and harder to control. So I lose all my progress, head back to the main menu again. And I try a variety of doing inverse and lower sensitivity between traditional and modern. And after about 30 minutes of being a true Goldilocks, I finally do settle on traditional with lower sensitivity. And this was tolerable, but it still wasn't great. The controls on this game are very clunky, very hard to control, and I feel very, very dated, even for a game from 1995. But let's get on to the rest of the game. As I was playing Panzer Dragoon, you traveled through a variety of levels, all showcasing what I thought to be pretty great graphics, especially being upgraded from a Sega Saturn game, and there was enough intrigue to keep the player curious about the world around them. You have all these fallen civilizations mixed in with the futuristic scenery. It's a cool mix, I'm not gonna lie. The enemies keep the same theme going of the futuristic and the ancient, from fellow dragons to futuristic robots to sandworms and so many things in between. As you play, you do have a map which tells you where enemies are coming from because they don't all just appear in front of you, and you have to change your camera angle with the triggers to actually attack them. It's a pretty cool little feature to add depth to an on-rail shooter, but honestly, it did just become more annoying than anything as the game progressed, because you're focused on an area, then all of a sudden your health just starts going down. You have to search around you to see where the enemies are coming from, and by the time you find them, they've already moved on to another area, and you're just constantly swapping this camera angle around, trying to find these enemies. The levels themselves also have different obstacles it forces you to go through to keep you on your toes, so it wasn't just simply shooting down a barrage of enemies followed by yet another barrage of enemies. They try to add variety to the playstyle of the cameras and the level design to try to engage the player more, but the game still feels very flat because the playstyle itself is nothing more than changing camera angles, shooting, and dodging. There are no slick moves or upgrades to make the gameplay change really the entire time. At the close of every level, you do have a fight with a boss, which is very similar to how Star Fox did it. And the bosses were all pretty unique and had different stages as their health dropped, which always makes for a more engaging experience. However, it still just felt monotonous within this part. The game in and of itself, minus the controls, is a fine little experience, but throughout the entire game, I kept wanting to hear things like,
Do a barrel roll!
or,
I'll take this one. Get the one behind me.
I just missed Star Fox. After playing a game like Star Fox 64, this game just pales in comparison. Little things I took for granted, like avoiding enemy fire with a variety of cool moves, gone. Upgrades to my lasers, gone. Different weapons like bombs to use, gone. Upgrades to my life meter, gone. Ability to regain health at all, gone. I know the original version of this game came out in 1995, so there's some things to expect that would be missing. However, this was after the first Star Fox, and some things could be fixed in this game. There should be weapon upgrades as you go along. This is a core aspect of any shooter game. Players like to get more powerful as the game progresses. There should be a variety of moves that you can do. You are on a dragon, for crying out loud. Let the dragon do some cool dragon crap. The game just feels very bare bones and feels like a massive missed opportunity. But it isn't that massive, I guess, because the game is only about an hour long. $25 for an hour. Now you can go back and play the harder difficulty settings, but there are no rewards or collectibles to get, so the replay feels somewhat pointless. If you're an old fan of the game coming over, I'm sure this is one of the biggest letdowns there is because it feels like nothing new is added to this game at all, except for the graphics and sort of a flawed control system. Now like I said, the game is $25 in the eShop, and honestly, I feel like that price is a bit of a ripoff for old fans and new players alike. I feel like old fans will feel like not enough new stuff was added, and new players will be somewhat annoyed that the game feels so dated. I think realistically for what this game is, it should have cost $10. $10 is cheap enough where some of those flaws could have been easily overlooked. But for $25, a longer and more polished experience, it was expected. I hear the sequel to this game is much better, and when the remake of that one comes out, I'll probably give it another try as well, because I like the world and the mythology the game has created. I just think it can be executed far more effectively. But if you enjoyed the video, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment down below what you thought of this remake. And as always, go out there, find a great game to play, just simply have a great rest of the day.